Hey, everybody, welcome back to Your Free TV. It is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. I'm not sure if this is coming up on a Wednesday or Thursday. I haven't decided yet on that, but it's great to see you and be back with you here on the channel. Today, we're going to have a great interview with Chris Burres over at C60 Evo. He is, of course, the chief scientist there and, co-producer of the products. And we're going to be focusing in, interesting, metaphor here, on migraines here today, as well as other issues to do with why C60 Evo is such an incredible product, and so much else besides. So we'll just bring in Chris as we always do, and we'll jump in, get started. It's going to be a great show.
Hello.
Hey, Chris, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you.
It's always great. You always ask great questions and push the envelope, so I'm excited to be here with you.
All right, fantastic. All right, so why don't we start out here as we usually do, and of course for everybody who might be wondering, C60 Evo is why we're here. You can see Chris's awesome banner behind him. And this is made in the premier lab in the world for creating fullerenes and carbon-60 so pure that it's called ESS60, used in scientific studies. And that's why it's so potent and amazing. And I get to say more things than Chris because he's a scientist that owns the company, and the FDA. We're still hoping for MAHA Revolution and the FDA to get us all freer to be able to utilize these products more efficiently for people for all the incredible benefits they have. But Chris, why don't you give people a breakdown first on maybe not the metaphor version, but just the short practical version of what ESS60 is, what C60 Evo is, how it works, and then we'll jump in because I know we have some exciting stuff to talk about with a migraine study, and migraines are life-changing for people, so I'm really excited about this. So jump on in.
Are you in a position to take a shot with me?
Oh, of course. I might do
right.
MCT. I'm on the MCT mode right now.
I'm in olive oil mode. So
all right,
and we're gonna do a cheers to freedom. I think that should be the word, right?
Absolutely. Cheers.
All right. So what I just took, right, and this is kind of the recommended one, is a high quality extra virgin olive oil with as much of the ESS60 molecule as we can get to dissolve in it. It is a high quality extra virgin olive oil, so it will leave a little peppery flavor at the back of your throat. That's one of the ways you know it's a high quality oil. So about this molecule, so I'm holding up a model. I don't know if some of your audience just listens. Maybe they do. You don't have to run to a screen. Just imagine a soccer ball where the lines on the soccer ball represent the bonds between the carbon atoms. So you have a spherical molecule of 60 carbon atoms in the shape of a soccer ball. This molecule was discovered in 1985. The scientist who discovered it won the Nobel Prize in 1996, a short 11 years from discovery to being awarded the Nobel Prize. My lab, based here in Houston, and actually the scientist who discovered it here in Houston also, my lab has been manufacturing and distributing it since 1991, a full 5 years before they won the Nobel Prize.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty excited to have been in this industry literally from the foundation before they won the Nobel Prize. Now, this molecule is absolutely amazing and it deserves the Nobel Prize, although, molecules don't win Nobel Prizes. The scientists who discovered them do, but it deserves it because this molecule performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. So it makes better inks, better batteries, better tires, better photocells, and that's where people get a little bit nervous. They're like, I don't think about inks, batteries, tires, and photocells when I'm thinking about a supplement. And then the story gets a little worse first. There's shapes on the exterior of this soccer ball shaped molecule, ESS60, that are reminiscent of benzene. Now, benzene is ubiquitous in our society, necessary for modern society. But when benzene is on its own, it's known to be toxic and known to be carcinogenic. So they actually thought this molecule would be toxic. They put it in a study. Instead of being toxic, the test subjects that they gave it to, in this case Wistar rats, lived 90% longer than the control group. So that's the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history, peer-reviewed published research. I'm very proud to share that our lab provided the material. Our lab is mentioned in that original study. So that kind of changed my trajectory from being, I kind of joke, I was a happy-go-lucky carbon nanomaterial scientist and shifted the trajectory into becoming a health and wellness expert, the chief scientist of a supplement company. And when we start thinking about migraines, by the way, we cannot yet make claims about migraines. What we'll be talking about today are the reasons we're doing a migraine study. And that migraine study is going to take some time. We're actually going to get it probably spun up in the next 3 months. And so we'll be sharing that. Before I kind of get into that, let me give if it's okay, steer me in a different direction, but I was going to kind of share what we think the molecule's doing. So this
with migraines or in general?
In general, like in the
mitochondria.
Yeah,
in general first, yeah, because I want to hop in before you jump into migraines.
Okay, perfect. So our current theory, the BOSS theory, buffering oxidative stress system, shows that this molecule, well, peer-reviewed published research shows that this ESS60 molecule gets into the mitochondria. And we also know from way back in the 90s that this molecule can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles on the exterior of this cage. What that looks like is, let's kind of quick refresher, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell. There's between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria in every cell in your body, except for your blood cells, which have 0, and your brain and neurons, which have 2 million. It is amazing how much energy our nervous system uses. And again, 2 million in the brain. There's going to be some parallels here potentially with migraines. How does this all plan out? So a typical mitochondria as a power source produces a negative byproduct. You think about your car going down the road, it has exhaust. You think about a power plant, it's got smoke coming out of the smokestack. In the case of mitochondria, it's got reactive oxygen species. I picture these like little bumper cars, right? Everything they smack into, they're causing rust, oxidative stress, oxidative damage, and ultimately inflammaging. And internal to the mitochondria, there are components to manage those reactive oxygen species. And those are the antioxidants, the kind of famous antioxidants, glutathione and melatonin. I love to kind of pause here because melatonin is the sleep hormone. And our most consistent testimonial is people take the product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. So nice parallels. So that glutathione and melatonin manage those reactive oxygen species so they don't run around and do damage. But what happens if you stress your mitochondria? First off, how do you stress your mitochondria? I kind of like to point out, if you're living in this modern society, you have stressed mitochondria. It can be EMF radiation from lights. It can be smoking. It can be smog. It can be sunlight. It can be EMF radiation from a plane flight. It can be stressful emails. Our mitochondria are stressed. And when they're stressed, they produce extra reactive oxygen species. And that's when they run around like little bumper cars, rusting things that they bump into. It's also where the ESS60 molecule sets in. So again, we know from peer-reviewed published research, it gets into the mitochondria. We know it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles. So we believe it holds on to those extra reactive oxygen species so they can't run around like little bumper cars, and then makes sure that they're safe and not causing any damage. And then when that mitochondria can replenish the glutathione and replenish the melatonin, then they grab onto those reactive oxygen species and manage them properly so that you haven't experienced the damage that would normally be caused by stressed mitochondria. And if you are reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, then you should have what we have, which are head to toe testimonials. And today we'll be talking about some head testimonials.
Although I'd be interested to hear about the toes, but we'll get to that some other time. But okay, yeah. Fantastic. All right, so great, rendition, telling everybody how it works. And what I think is interesting is you're describing a process there. Whereas this is mitochondria, this is deep in our cells and the trillions of cells that we have. And what's interesting there is when you think of a process, you think, well, over time, this is going to make me feel better, right? Because there's a process that has to happen. But the interesting things that I wanted to point out here, especially as we go into migraines, right, is that a lot of people, when they first start taking it or just start taking it again or whatever, instantly feel better, right? You feel an instant. I mean, even from that little shot we just did together, I feel more alive right now than I did before we did it, right? Yeah. And so that's a different thing, right? That's a different, it's not essentially different, but there's also that, okay? And I'm assuming that that's part of going to be something you're going to be explaining when we get into this migraine discussion, because, having a way to affect migraines as they're starting is an incredible thing for people, life changing. You're somebody who suffers from migraines in the
Yep.
past compared to now
Yep.
that you don't as much because of the product, and for other people. And so it's that how people say they all of a sudden feel happier. They
Mm.
all of a sudden, but it is that all of a suddenness. And is that because of is something different happening in the neurons? Is something different happening in the brain? That, hey, it's not going to take away your arthritis in 5 minutes, but this instant feeling of wellness or better mood or energy, and now this migraine thing just have me peaked. So I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
jump
Well,
in.
yeah, I think it really lands in the boss theory, right?
Okay.
Which, remember, there's 2 million mitochondria in every neuron in your brain and in your nervous system, right? So there's so much potential impact. Just to kind of share a fun number, that shot that I did, right? So yours has a little bit lower concentration, but that shot that I did, 1 drop of this olive oil has as many of the ESS60 molecules, actually has 400 times as many of these molecules as you have cells in your body.
Wow.
Like, it is kind of overwhelming in 1 drop, right? This is how
Wow.
small these molecules are. This is, and that's part of the reason that they get into the mitochondria, and that is from peer-reviewed published research. So I think,
Can I interject? And
yeah,
because of your trillions of cells, and as you just said, the extreme amount of this in comparison, that because of the Boss theory and the constant effect on our cells of that rusting, as you say, that's immediately it's an immediate reaction. I mean, it's an immediate consequence of taking this, that you're
yeah,
affecting it on that level.
yeah.
That's incredible. That
It,
really is. Yeah, that's
it's
mind
mind-boggling, right?
blowing.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
mind
the
blowing.
amount of cells in our body is mind-boggling, right? The biology of, the human biology is mind-boggling. And then you're thinking, wow, 400 times as many of the ESS60 molecules as you have cells in your body. That's all mind-boggling. And then I'm saying, but that's in 1 drop, right? Like, and so you're taking a teaspoon. I'm sure I've done a calculation at one point how many drops are in a teaspoon, right? Because that's a relevant number, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. So it's amazing how many of the ESS60 molecules that there are.
Well,
And
and you're gonna tell us an interesting story that has to do with a couple drops.
yeah,
And how little can do so much, which was just is another amazing thing. This story that you're going to tell, I was just blown away. So anyway,
it's
I
amazing.
keep interrupting, but it's because
Yeah.
it's exciting.
No, it's good. Like, I love this back and forth. So a potential theme of this broadcast could be Chris wishes he was smarter, right? Like that's a potential theme, because I'm going to share with you my testimonial, which some people would say like, hey, when you have that one, right? Because you understand your own physiology, you should have started a migraine study. And then I'm going to share my wife's, and you're going to go like, well, definitely now you should have started a migraine study. And then I'm going to share Patty's, right? One of our co-business owners. And then you're like, now you absolutely have had to have started a migraine study. And the answer is still no. And then I'll share one last one, which just was like, I don't know. I came up with, it's like the cold dead fish smacking me in the face. I don't know why the fish is cold or dead, but the whole thing stinks. I should have started a migraine study sooner. And then we're going to share something that happened this week, right? So, and feel free, interrupt at any point.
No,
But
go for it. I'll let you monologue here for a while because I want to hear the whole spiel.
okay, so in my case, I am the geeky guy you see in front of you. I have a spreadsheet back to 2014 tracking my migraines. And I used to get 4 to 5 migraines per year.
Oh.
And the reason I was tracking them is they're horrible. If you've never had a migraine, these are, I mean, you've heard the stories where a migraine is the person, when they have one, goes under the covers in their bedroom. They turn off all lights, they turn off all sound. It's a miserable experience. That's why I had this spreadsheet tracking my 4 to 5 migraines. When I started taking this product, it was in 2018 on a regular basis. I didn't get a single migraine for 18 months. So I was supposed to have, I don't know, 6 or 7 migraines by that point. And when I did actually get a migraine, it was because I was going off of our product to join our own sleep study, which, by the way, the sleep study has amazing results. 100% of the people who went through that sleep study reported improvements when they were on the product. So I go in to join that. I get my first migraine, and I'm very transparent. I still do get migraines. I get about 1 or 2 a year, so not 4 or 5. And they're not the kind of debilitating ones. Basically, if you've ever had a migraine, you may be familiar. There's an aura. There's a little sliver of your vision that looks like a kaleidoscope, right? And it starts on the peripheral, moves into the center of vision, and then just disappears. You can imagine when it's in the center of vision, well, first off, when that would happen, I used to have to go to bed, no lights, no sound, etc. Now I could do a podcast. It's really hard to read through a kaleidoscope. I don't know if you've ever tried that, but if I had to, I'm like, you're reading around the edges. It actually hurts, right? But if I had to, I could do that. That's how much the pain from my migraines have diminished. So that's the first one. Chris, you should have started a migraine study. Yeah, I know. Now I know. Next one, my wife used to get 9 migraines per month. And I remember the number 9 because she had a medication and they would only give her 9 per month. She would actually have more like 13 migraines. So she just had to suffer through the remaining 4.
Wow.
Spouses, sometimes it's hard to convince, like, what do you know about supplements? So it took me a long time to convince her to try the supplement. And when she did, she's now down to 1 or 2 migraines per month, or even every other month. Like, it's amazing.
Wow.
Chris, that should have been enough to start a migraine study. Nope. Now we have Patty, right? So one of our co-owners, her mom, has a helper who visits with her every single day. And one day Patty gave her some of the product, and she called Patty, I think almost in tears, sharing, and Patty didn't know this, sharing that she used to have migraines to the point that she would have to go in and get a shot every 3 months, right? So it's you're getting medication shot into your arm to kind of try and manage these migraines. And she was sharing with Patty that she's no longer getting migraines. That's amazing. Of course, Patty, because she's helping her mom, is like, here, you can have, like, let's keep you stocked on product. You don't need to have migraines. So again, Chris, this is enough. You should start the migraine study. Here's the last one that finally pushed me over. I was connected with an influencer. I reconnected with her, and the second conversation with her went so much longer than I thought it was gonna, because the first 30 minutes of the conversation was her sharing me the impact and really the life-changing impact that it had on her husband's migraines, right? So her husband's migraines were so frequent and so severe that it was one of those, like, are we going to have a good day or are we going to have a bad day? Can we go to the grocery store, or can he go or can we not? Like, you're orchestrating your life around these migraines, and having relief from that. You can imagine why she went for 30 minutes talking about all these changes. And so now frequency is down, intensity is down, and when he feels something coming on, he can take the product and feel some relief, which even that surprises me. I didn't, in none of the previous stories was there this kind of instant effect. But we're going to share one other that happened this week. It's crazy. So that was, the wet fish, dead fish that smacked me in the face, right on the nose, I think. And so now we're in the process of putting together a clinical trial to assess our product's capability as it relates to migraines.
It's awesome.
Then, just this week, I don't know if you want to chime in, feel free to chime in. Just this week, we're on a broadcast and we're talking kind of a similar story. I'm sharing this story. And I notice this influencer, he has shared with us before we started that he had actually run out of product with some shipping issue. We didn't get him product. And as we're like, I don't know, about 10 minutes, this is kind of how I remember it. About 10 minutes in, you see him like grabbing the empty bottle and like trying to squeeze as much as he can, right? And he's like, I got a little, that was, almost a serving. And then that stopped for like 10 minutes. And then he started doing it again with other empty bottles that he has, because he has like a 4 ounce, 8 ounce, a 16 ounce. And we get to like the last, I don't know, 3/4 of the podcast. And he goes, whoa, wait, I got to stop. I wasn't going to say anything, but this is my legitimate experience. At the beginning of this podcast, when we started talking about migraines, I actually got the aura. So some people get kind of a broader aura, which is you see in your peripheral vision, this kind of kaleidoscope. And I was thinking, okay, I'm about to get a migraine. I've got other broadcasts I have to do today. I don't know what I'm going to do. And since we were talking about migraines in your product, I eked out, a quarter sample, a quarter serving from this bottle. I put it down, and then the aura went away. And so I was like, let me make sure I get more. That's why he went back to the bottles, and he confessed he was about to get a migraine, taking like a quarter serving, got the migraine and quenched the migraine. So yeah,
Wow.
it's amazing. Again, we're not claiming. In fact, let's throw out the FDA disclaimer. The FDA has not evaluated our product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. I'm just sharing why we are actually going to do a migraine study, so then we can then come back here with you free and share that we actually do address migraines. That is our goal.
That is so fantastic, incredible. And for me, I think what's most amazing about it, in this culture and everything, with more is better, and it's always, take 5 instead of 2 because that's better. But he's literally licking out the bottle. It's basically like, what dregs can I get to come out?
Yep.
Like this.
Yeah.
And
Patty told him, like, put them upside down with the lid, and then after it's set
lick the
for a
cap
minute, then you can lick it out. And he literally on air was licking out of the lid of this
yeah.
of his sample, like kind of
Right.
crazy.
And so probably altogether got about 1 capsule worth, maybe,
Well,
and
maybe
and
yeah, that's probably. I'm just trying to think, right? A whole teaspoon is a lot. So yeah, he probably got half a serving, which might have been 3 capsules worth.
Okay, so 3 capsules, and generally people take 6 of these,
Yep.
although I often take 3 because I
Yeah.
don't need 6, and that's what happens, I guess, as you clean out your mitochondria,
Yeah.
that you get
Yeah.
the same effect for less, right? But basically, I just think that's what's part of that story. The migraine is the big part for people who get migraines and know how awful it is. I used to have somebody very close to me. The best thing we ever found was something called Migrafew,
Mm.
which was like feverfew, willow bark, all that combo. But Migrafew actually was really the best thing ever that we found that was natural.
Yeah.
But for people, this is like, I mean, a life saving and changing. I mean, it changes the trajectory of your life,
Yeah.
to be in that kind of pain, and your dreams, your everything. And
Yeah.
so, and I don't mean while you're sleeping, I mean your dreams in life, right? It's like how RFK Jr. says, people who are ill, they have one wish, one dream instead of all of our dreams, which is to feel better. And when you have that migraine, you can't even think that, because you can't think at all, because it's so
Yeah.
awful. And
Yeah.
so,
I'll share also, we do have testimonials even related to sleep that are that powerful. Like, I've got a video, a lady almost breaks into tears twice as she's just sharing how she was, she visited all sorts of practitioners. She's trying to figure out how to solve her extreme, I won't use any kind of disease language, but her extreme sleep challenges, right? And she gets the product. She's like, I feel like my significant other is getting to know me again, right? Because if you don't get sleep, you're not, we all wake up with, a little less sleep, and we're a little more cranky. Like, we all have that experience. Imagine that night after night after night, and probably even less sleep than you got on that cranky morning. Like, she was in tears sharing that her significant other is getting to know her again.
That's amazing. And this might be a great time to mention, for people, this might be the time to stock up for your year, especially if you're a migraine person that wants to make sure you always have it around. There is a sale for the holidays that's starting. And of course, go to the description below and you'll see the link for free TV. That is specifically c60evo.com/YAFTV. And for this sale, you don't need the special code on top of it, although you can use it for other products or other parts of your purchase. This is about buying 6 bottles and getting 40% off the whole package. So, and it doesn't apply to everything, but go to the page, check it out, and you will see that it applies to the things that really are great for having in bulk over the course of a year or however long. And making sure you've always have it in stock for that price is it's a no-brainer. It's amazing. And so it's also great for gifts. So if you have always wanted your relatives or friends to try this, especially maybe your migraine friends, because soon you'll be able to present them with the results of a study as well, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And it supports that study getting done. So I'll just throw that out there as well.
100%.
And so to be able to go ahead and buy six bottles, six bottles
Yeah.
at 40% off. And then for the rest of your purchases, you can use the code YAFTV for 10% off on those other products. Anybody who ever has donated to You Are Free TV gets 15% off with a different link and code sent to you. But that 40% sale on 6 bottles speaks for itself and doesn't need an additional code because it's already such a great deal. So check it out in the description below. And then I wanted to come back to you, Chris, and just ask, it's going to be very exciting to have this migraine study. And I know you can't, it's the opposite of science to do predictive things, but it is really incredible, right? Because we're dealing with the brain, and it is really intriguing and it's super exciting. Do you have any speculation about why, particularly with the symptoms of migraines and how that all functions?
Well, yeah, and let me talk a little bit about your current landing page with that amazing special.
Yeah, please.
They can get 2 bottles, right, which is at a good discount. They can get 3 bottles, which is also at a good discount, and then they can get 6 at that 40% discount. So that's pretty amazing. Also, you can go on subscription and save a little bit more. And I encourage you to do that, right? Our customer service team has 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. They're not trained to talk you out of canceling your subscription. If you want to cancel it, right, take advantage of that discount, and then you can cancel at any time. It just turns out that most people don't cancel. So please take advantage of that discount. And we didn't touch on it. We also have another combination set that's available, which is the 4 ounce. I don't have the 4 ounce with me, plus the facial serum. So there's 2 kind of options there. That also has the 2, the 3, and the 6 offer with a 40% discount on the 6. So it's
it's a great sale. Check it out, everyone. But do use my link, because that's how you also support You Are Free TV. So go to c60evo.com/YAFTV. It's in the description below, and we'll show it to you here. But so
it's not even on our regular website, right? Like, so they have to go to that link to even find that.
Okay. So that explains that. Okay, great. All right, fantastic. Thanks for all the plugging. And it's so important to let people know, because we are getting in the holiday season. People have to buy things and, support the people who you support. So, if you want to support You Are Free TV because you love this channel, fantastic. And if you want people in your life to feel well, this is a great, great holiday sale. It's kicking off early. So I think it's, I'm just thrilled about it. I'm so glad you all decided to do a great holiday sale this year. I think it's fantastic.
I think I mumbled something, and then Patty was like, "Really?" And I said yes, and then she ran
jumped on it. She's like, "I heard that. Okay, it's done."
Yeah,
That's great. All right, good. Well, back to the migraine science here, or your study, or your thoughts about why you feel that C60 Evo and the ESS60 molecule is having such an incredible effect combating people's experience of migraines.
I think it boils down to this impact in the BOSS theory, right? Buffering oxidative stress system. And it boils down to the fact that it works we know from peer-reviewed published research, it gets into the mitochondria. Like, there's a lot of supplements out there that brag, and they're really proud of the fact that their supplements work at the cellular level. And they should, because there's even supplements out there that don't even work at the cellular level, right? They just work at the level of the gut. And so they should brag about that. And we just don't think that's where ours works. Ours works at the subcellular level, at that level of the mitochondria. And when you have 2 million mitochondria in every neuron in your brain, and you're reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, right? You're just helping the body through this time of stress so that it doesn't incur damage. And then on the other side of the stress, it's actually able to recover. This is really what's going on. In terms of so fast, it's certainly theoretical. I haven't read any articles. It would make perfect sense because the molecule is so small that as you have it in your mouth, some is actually going directly into your blood vessels, and then being transported up to your brain really quickly. And so I think that's what's going on. I think we can agree it's highly likely that they actually don't know exactly what migraines are. right?
That's why I'm so curious, because that's the whole the problem, right? But
Yeah.
that it is such a curious and incredible phenomenon. So why this? But you're saying you think it's the boss component, and that makes a lot of sense. Uh, it just seems like there's something else, like
Yeah.
it seems like there's something else that specifically has to do with
Okay.
yeah,
Let
go
me
ahead.
postulate, right?
Okay, why
So
not?
we know that this molecule can hold up to negatively charged, 6 negatively charged particles. So
Mm-hmm.
now we have this potential to being involved in the actual communication in the brain. So not
Right.
just the mitochondria, but as some sort of buffer, some sort of translator, right? Where I'm going off the rails here.
Yeah,
um,
I mean,
but
it's the
but
study's
that
going to
that's
happen.
certainly within the realm of possibility, right? And if maybe migraines are electrons just escaping the natural neuronal pathways and causing havoc, you can imagine that would cause havoc, right? You don't need cars running off of the freeway. And then you've got this ESS60 molecule there going, well, I'll hold onto that car so that it's safe, right? It's not going to go do damage. I mean, you're right. It may be something, kind of more dynamic like that for it to have this instant impact.
That's my intuition about it, and I'm also just kind of curious, you know, because of the radiation protection
Mm.
aspect of ESS60, and there's been studies on that, obviously,
Yep.
and and we live in this EMF soup, and just the kind of experience of it, it just makes me think about electromagnetism and ions and just all this activity that goes on. I just wonder, with that kind of pollution so intensifying, if in general there's a much larger amount of migraines going on out there for people, but also if that aspect of some sort of regulation for the brain electrically that happens through this process is kind of my you know my my guess.
Intuition.
Yeah,
Thought
my
process into it.
intuition. Yeah, an
The
electrical
the
regulation type deal.
the number is staggering, right?
Hmm.
There's I think 39 million migraine sufferers in the United States.
Oh my
Like
God.
it's a staggering number. Um, and so yeah, a lot of people have this experience. The medical community doesn't know exactly what's going on, and we're excited to be jumping into a migraine study because of what has happened. Again, not claiming this will happen for you. These are the reasons that we're putting together a migraine study, which will we hopefully, like, these are complicated, but hopefully we get that started in about 3 months.
Fantastic. Great way to get the new year kicking. That'll be
Yes.
really fantastic. And, hopefully that will, again, I'm always like, we got to get all this information into the MAHA crowd, right? We want to see at the next MAHA summit.
Yes. No, that would
For
be
sure.
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for real. And okay. And so I wanted to shift gears here. That's just amazing news, unless you have more migraine stuff.
No,
Um,
no, I think, once you get smacked in the face with a cold dead fish, then we should move on.
So funny. Isn't it funny? I wish this stuff would just change our stubbornness or something,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But yeah,
Just
it probably
open your eyes a
strengthens
little
it a
bit, Chris.
bit, right?
Like,
'Cause-
your migraines are almost entirely gone. And I'll be honest, some part of that is I don't like qualitative stuff. I like quantitative stuff, right?
Sure.
So well, one, quantitatively, I didn't get a migraine for 18 months. That's amazing. And then the fact that they came back probably turned me right off a little bit about getting more focused on that. And it's now more of a quality issue. Well, quantitatively, it's 1 or 2 versus 4 to 5. So that's very quantitative, but qualitatively, like, I don't like to run around going, my product makes your migraines weaker. Like, that's not where I want to land. But now, after all these powerful testimonials, like, I kind of don't have a choice.
Oh, so hard being you. Yeah, it's just so good that I have to accept it. Yeah. That's just great. No, but it is true. It's like, and you're, you're a fairly skeptical person. Just my experience of you, you're a scientist, and
Yeah,
you're like, let the science speak. And even with the FDA saying you can't say things, you kind of don't even want to say things,
yeah,
without the studies done. So it's
yeah.
just who you are. So for people out there who are not that way and really are like, hey, this works. I don't care what's going on. You know, now even Chris has to admit, hey, this works. We don't know what's going on, but it's working. And so it's very exciting. And I can't wait to see the study. But for people who want immediate relief for their migraines after all these testimonials, go ahead and check it out. Really, it's that's a game changer, life changer. And I wanted to, on that note, when you start out from head to toe, and we'll kind of round this up here in the next 10 minutes. You know, speaking of toes, you know, I was wondering, what about nerve stuff with Evo? Have you gotten testimonials on nerve stuff, or, you know, a lot of people are dealing with this really since the shots and the V and all that stuff. A lot of nerve damage issues coming up for people, and I was just wondering if you know, nerve relief happens to come up, nerve pain relief. And if not, that's fine. I just wanted to ask you about it because I have the opportunity.
Yeah, so I think there's kind of two things. Pain, I can't really talk about. Right, because it's pain, and that's an FDA issue. I can share I would be taking the product. And if you think about, there's kind of other nerve damages. Sometimes if it's associated with inflammation, there is the possibility that this could have a positive impact, right? If you think about that Boss theory, one of the add-on impacts of those free radicals when they're not managed by the ESS60 molecule is they get out of the mitochondria and into the cell, and then out of the cell and into kind of the free body and bump into other cells. They become inflammatory signals, like in like ongoing inflammation, which I'm not claiming we take care of because the FDA is very strict about what you can say. But those inflammatory signals are create a cascade of negative events in your body. And if our Boss theory is correct and it's holding on to those negatively charged particles, then we're potentially negating that cascade.
Okay. Okay, because I have seen people who have really severe nerve pain have really good results.
Yep.
Once I've introduced this, and they say, well, that's my only new thing. You know, and these are like runners, or, you know, often it's people who are who work out hard, right? And so when you're talking about with the inflammation and the inflammaging, makes a lot of sense with nerve damage. But you know, I have gotten that from my personal life from people who mostly are athletes. So it's interesting. But even older adults with that, you know, the nerve pain in the feet that can kind of set in, especially in the winter, you know, it gets worse and this sort of thing. So those have been testimonies I've gotten. So I just share that with people, especially as we go into the cold months. That can be a really awful dose to deal with too. Yeah. So.
And
all right,
I think
cool.
we may have talked about, you know, we have an ultra running champion, a guy who won a U.S. championship at 50 miles and at 50K. So yeah, we do have pretty amazing athletic testimonials. Sometimes, like, depending on the audience, you're like, well, I'm not an athlete. And frankly, even if you are an athlete, you're probably not an ultra runner, right? So it feels like it doesn't have relevance. I think it does have relevance because if anybody is stressing their mitochondria, it's this guy running 50 miles. I don't think we have any doubts about that. And his response, the way he says it is, I don't believe your product speeds exercise recovery. I believe it prevents damage in the first place. And the reason he says that is because on the last 5 miles of a 50-mile run, which, by the way, is a phrase you may never hear again from me.
not that I'll be speaking from my mouth. Anyway.
It's not coming out of my mouth. And he says where strength and stability used to be a problem on that last 5 miles, it's no longer a problem, right? And that fits into this reducing the negative impact of stress mitochondria.
Wow. That's fantastic. That's just so awesome. I love this product. It's just so amazing. And yeah, I just really wanted to mention everybody. I love the what you said about to remind people of the 4-ounce bottle with the sale with the tincture together, because the facial tincture is just so amazing. This stuff, it's I think it's 23 organic phytonutrients in there, plus the C60 olive oil. Smell has a rosemary smell, but not strong, but really wonderful. And I'm going to put a little bit on now. You can join me, Chris, because I know you love this stuff. And And basically what I love about this stuff, I only need, 3 drops, because it spreads, but it doesn't stay oily, which is the key for any, especially women probably out there, don't want that oil sheen. And it will look like that for a moment, but it sinks right in. And oh, I love the smell, but then also it's warming, right? You can
Mm.
feel, that it's helping it. I mean, yeah, an FDA, blah blah.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's doing something with circulation, because the skin, you automatically feel this warmth and this energy. You can feel
Yeah.
like my skin feels like it's alive.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden my skin is like feeling things it doesn't normally feel,
Yep.
and so it's a beautiful feeling. And of course we can't set aside the anti-radiation effect of
The
C60 Evo, of
ESS60
the
molecule.
ESS60
Yep.
molecule. Yeah, pretty amazing. But this stuff really is beautiful. I love it.
And there are some
Everybody loves
studies.
it. I give it to, and especially
There are
men for some reason.
some studies out of I think it's out of Japan, showing some impact on reducing melanin, right? So the dark spots, and actually reducing wrinkles. So
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, my dad uses it. My dad, he's an old man, and he has those old man spots, and he's been putting this on, and really, literally, it's absolutely reduced them, like
Yeah.
massively, massively.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that way. So that's a great Christmas product. I give them to my family for Christmas, and they're always so excited every time. It's like they know what's coming, but they can't wait to get it, kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's great. All right, Chris. Well, is there anything you want to add here? We're at about 42 minutes, and really just wanted to focus in on the migraines today,
Yeah.
because that is a new and incredible thing, and let everybody know about the holiday sales. And maybe just end up here with a little round out of the unscientific benefits of what we know, what the general testimonials are, and what people, why people are inspired by
Yeah.
ESS60 and C60 Evo,
Well,
and
what
how
I'm at,
pure it is, for one thing.
yeah, it's
That's an
yeah.
amazing part here.
We could do another broadcast. Just maybe we should do that, because we haven't done it, like the history of not wanting to get into the supplement industry and how we actually ended up here. I think that's a fascinating story. Don't have time for that today. I think that that I lost my train of thought. So I think that just happened.
It's funny.
Oh, here's what I was going to say. So a couple of things we've been saying was talking about the instant result, and I certainly get that. I think it's I wish I could tell you, Chris wishes he was smarter. He also wishes he was more intuitive. Like, I'm not the guy who takes the product and notices it right away, but I give it to people regularly when I'm kind of wandering out around conferences or whatever. Like, oh, wow, I feel that right away. And even I'm just not that guy. Maybe it's the skeptic in me or whatever, or just the lack of awareness internally. So I'm just not that guy. So I like to map this out, and this does map out for a lot of our customers, as this product is kind of a 3-month map. And remember, the most consistent testimonial is people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. Month 1, what we're really looking at is the focus and energy, like people reporting focus and energy. And I've got one testimonial. The lady took the product in the morning, recorded the video that night, and shared that she did not finish her cup of coffee. Now, if you're a coffee drinker, like, that's a big deal. And I can actually, after that testimonial came in, I thought, oh yeah, I used to be a 2 or 3 cup person per day. Now I'm barely a 1 cup person per day. And a lot of that is like the routine of it, right? They make the coffee and it's blending and it smells good, and I drink it and then I don't finish it, and then I throw some of it away. So that's kind of month 1. I'll also add on month 1. It is well documented that if you replace saturated fats with a great high quality fat like an olive oil, you will lose weight, right? So there are weight loss implications that start happening. And that even kind of carries on to my example in month 3. Month 2, we really start to notice the sleep. Now, why do I think there's a delay in sleep? Some people notice it right away. The reality is we get a little bit less sleep every day. And it's hard for people to trace it back to when they started taking the product. And so that's what happens there. And my kind of testimonial around sleep is, I have a business coach, and my business coach says that for 50 years, he needed an alarm clock to wake up. when he started taking the product on a regular basis, he wakes up before the alarm clock. Now he's a business coach, right? So he's got late night mixers and late night business dinners and all that stuff. None of that matters. What does matter, though, is if he doesn't have the product for 10 days, which is, the research in the literature suggests that this clears out of your body in 10 days, he starts to need the alarm clock again. So sleep is what we look at month 2. And then month 3.
So, but what you're also saying here is not like, hey, you get less sleep, right? People are like, wait, I already don't get enough sleep. But what you're saying is they sleep deeply and they're satisfied and ready to get up, basically. Yeah. Don't need the alarm clock even to wake up. They're up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
No, exactly.
It's true. That is absolutely true.
And then in month 3, we really kind of notice the cascade of benefits from this mitochondrial, from reducing the negative impact of stress mitochondria. And the one I share here is my father-in-law was walking with a cane, no longer needed the cane. And because he no longer needed the cane, he started walking more. And not because of our product, but you start walking more, you actually lose weight, and then he needs the cane even less, right? And these are the kind of an example of the systemic head-to-toe responses that we kind of notice in month 3.
Well said. And yeah, that's a 90-day short-term, movement there. And when we think of prolonged illness or diseases of aging, right, that are often chronic illness diseases that come along with aging, so much of that has to do with cellular health, as I'm always saying. And every time someone watches my show, we get to the point where I'm like, cellular health, health,
Yeah.
And I'm just talking C60 Evo. But it's true. And the reason we eventually, especially in this toxic world, end up with these chronic illnesses related to aging is because our cells get less and less healthy, less and less able to do their jobs. And so we get ill. And so that's the whole point here, is that if your cells are healthy, you can't get, what I'm saying is, short of something, getting poisoned in the subway by... basically you won't get sick if your cells are healthy. And that's just, that's everything. It's amazing. Yeah. And so that's why I love this product, because it doesn't just treat one thing, although this migraine stuff is out of this world amazing, but it treats everything. And as you said in the beginning, the head to toe results in testimonials that keep coming in. And we're talking about people with the turbo C, we're talking about people dealing with MS, autism, across the board, chronic illnesses, and sometimes very acute and intense. So check out the testimonials, everyone. Really, you won't be, you'll be amazed, and you won't be disappointed when you try this product. Get the holiday sales, check it out. And thank you so much, Chris, for coming back again to help people and tell people about this migraine breakthroughs that we're getting more and more stories of. I love, I don't know if we can say that who it was. Can we say who the...
Oh yeah, it was
Gary Franchi.
Gary
Franchi. Yeah. Everybody loves him. Gary Franchi over at Next News. He's fantastic, and I love that he's getting relief for this. That is just amazing. Right on.
Yeah. Gary, he was like squeezing that bottle. How can I get that last drop out of it? It was
starting to get the scissors in there. Yeah, I hear you. Well, look, happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And to everybody out there, you are free, and I will see you tomorrow with the news. And check out the links below. Really, go to the description, take advantage of the sales, support the channel, support the upcoming migraine study, which is just imperative and amazing. Help us fight the FDA big med cabal here by actually proving evidence, getting evidence together that's going to help shift the narrative and shift the position of ESS60, this incredible healing molecule that is, belongs in the center of MAHA. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. You are free.